just the word reform. I mean, reform is usually when your taxes are cut. It'll be tax change, but and whether it's a better tax system or not depends on how it's constructed.
Well, our taxes are the corporate taxes. Something that is a competitive disadvantage for American corporations?
Not much. Not much. No, I can't think of any business where we're in where our tax rate puts us at and we're in a lot of businesses, a significant disadvantage with foreign countries. For one thing, ours aren't as high as we think they are. In many cases, they're not as low elsewhere. Corporate taxes are 2%.
Instead of paying 35%, many companies are paying much lower.
Sure. And 2% of GDP is not a high by U.S. standards. And then when you compare it to 17% for healthcare, I mean, it's, every business person is going to go there and say our taxes are too high. And if they really try and make it revenue neutral, my guess is it won't pass because the people for whom it goes up are going to argue against it harder than the people where it goes down. I mean, it's great for lobbyists and all that. So if they talk about it being, they always talk about it being tax neutral. If it's tax neutral, I don't think it'll pass.
Tax neutral is one way, but other people that we've talked to, including Stephen Mnuchin and others, have said that, look, we have dynamic scoring that can bring this in. And as a result, we think we can bring taxes far down and not necessarily have a pay for as you go along with that.
Well, of course, everybody's gotten the idea based on the world's success in printing money and not paying too much of a penalty. Everybody has a notion you can just cut taxes and you don't have to raise revenues. That is a very dangerous thing to do. The fact that it's worked pretty well some of the time does not mean it always will.
Dynamic scoring. I've never seen anybody introduce dynamic scoring that says that things will come out worse than just indicated by the figures. And clearly sometimes it does. I am very suspicious of dynamic scoring.
Do you agree that there's some sort of a Laffer curve, though, where you raise taxes to a certain point and it is a law of diminishing returns?
If you get taxes to 100%. Actually, some people would work that, but very few. No, but that is not an argument for changing my taxes at all, except upward. It's everybody that wants it cut in taxes, they hire some academics. And they look for dynamic scoring, and they say the country will really be better off if I pay less tax. and it's I don't blame them. It's understandable. And so be very, very, very suspicious of dynamic scoring.
If we had a simpler tax code, one that would not allow for so many loopholes, one that would not make it worthwhile for big companies to employ legions of accountants to try and make use of those loopholes, would that not be better? Well, if it did nothing other than just even it out so that everybody's paying the same?
If you free up labor that is now engaged in a lot of senseless procedures and put them to work in a market system and things that the market demands, that is a plus. There's no question about it.
Well, there's another issue, which is the certainty of the tax code and leaving it alone. If you're constantly switching and say, no, this switch may have gotten rid of a few accounts, now this switch gets rid of them, then you are getting, everybody has to learn the new stuff, and uncertainty is not good. You'd like, once you pick a tax system, to leave it alone for a long, long time.
We've heard business leader after business leader, though, say that this is an uncompetitive situation. If you're an American manufacturer, you have things that are coming against you. If you are a technology company, maybe you have a lot of money that you're keeping offshores. Bill, do you think that it would be better if the tax system were reformed? You've been a little quieter on this.
I don't think that the success of the technology sector will be improved by some tax change. The tech companies are not starving right now, and this only comes up when you have profits, and these companies have very high profits. So it's not like we're going to be stronger in the tech sector by making owners of those stocks richer.
Apple has $250 billion that it's keeping much of it offshore. Would it make sense to have that money brought back to the United States? Does it matter?
I would say yes, it does matter. And I don't see why we don't want to go artificially shifting money to some foreign place to avoid U.S. taxes. but it's not artificial. If you're really making the money in the foreign place, and they don't have high taxes, why should we care if somebody makes a lot of money in some foreign place and brings it back at a low tax? I think there's a lot, having all this money piled up abroad and then borrowing against it artificially, it's a cockamamie system.
So how do we fix it?
Well, I think they'd bring it back if you had a one-time forgiveness, and I don't think that would hurt anybody.
The tax holiday, we tried that in the Bush administration.
Yeah, and it worked.
Worked temporarily.
A lot of money came back.
Yeah, but if you have a holiday, then that encourages more investment abroad, and particularly in artificial places.
To wait for the next holiday.
We'll bring it back later on. I mean, there's some countries that are very small countries that have an awful lot of businesses been done in. Yeah, and if the consequence of doing that is you get a big break occasionally, you're going to try and figure out how to do more of it. It doesn't increase investment in the United States. It increases investment in some place where you still got a low rate. Maybe you'll get it back again.
Well, I'd come down hard on all that stuff where you shift some patent that was invented here and send it over to Liechtenstein and collect all our patent royalties. It's gaming the system. But assuming you actually have made the money abroad and the taxes abroad are low, I don't see why we should impose a big tax on them when they bring it back.
Charlie, you would be a pretty strict dictator if you were running things, wouldn't you?
He certainly is at Berkshire.
I don't like, if fraud runs rampant, say in workman's comp, it just feeds on itself like cancer. So you gotta constantly police it. And a lot of people just won't do the work. It's a huge mistake because you're ruining your country as everybody gets sucked into the fraud and they do it because everybody else is doing it. So I'm a great believer in coming down hard on that stuff, way harder than the government does and other people do.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.